straight talks, I'll be talking about the role of standards in economic development. Standards are something which have been always underplayed for its importance, but we don't realize how important they are. And today I'll just communicate that what's the importance of standards. Think of a situation: you buy a mattress from the town. The mattress, when you sleep, you realize that it's just going down. Its quality is not matching, not giving you the comfort. Add to the problem, you buy a bed sheet which doesn't fit the size of bed or mattress that you have bought. How difficult would be your life would be as a consumer, that you waste your money. How the things improve? Setting standards improves the things. Standards basically belong to, there are three different standards that we can talk about: the standard of measurements, compatibility, and the quality. Let me start with the importance of standard of measurements in our lives. Before independence, we had about 180 measures of the lens sizes. We have about 147 measures of units of basically what we call the volumes and weights. So there were multiple standards in which the weights, the measurement were undertaken. There was no synchronization across India on these things, and it was very difficult to trade goods and services in that environment. In 1956, Government of India standardized the weights, adopting the metric system, and that basically allowed to have a common weight. It was very difficult time in the transition process, but it helped significantly in the process of growth later, because there's a uniform standards in which the measurements are undertaken. So you buy a product which is 1 kilogram, which is 1 kilogram is everywhere is the same. It doesn't matter where you buy. The second is about the, when we talk about this compatibility, it's a very important aspect of standardization, which means how the different standards are interoperable, or they can be operated in different systems in the similar function ways. You buy a pen drive. The pen drive would fit whether the laptop is of Dell, or it is iOS operating system, or it is any other brand, that pen drive would fit everything. It means the pen drive and the laptops have the compatibility. What would have happened if the standards were different? You would have difficult time to run the things. Same thing happens in the case of basically you can think of the socket and plugs that we buy, and if they don't work, it means we require standard of compatibility so that different things can operate together in a very synchronized manner. And finally, that is about the standardization of quality, how we ensure the quality of the things, so that every product that you purchase or every product that is in the market meets minimum standards, and that's the benchmark of the quality. What we expect as a society, what I expect as in the market, sets the benchmark for this. Now, in this way, the standardization can happen in three different ways. The first important the requirement for standardization is adaptation of the standards that are used by others. We don't know what is the standard, so we actually adopt the standards of others. So basically, this is how the first process of adaptation begins. So I want to make a computer. How should I benchmark? So I benchmark with what Dell does, and that's the adaptation. This is adapting someone else's standards. Second stage is alignment. You align your system, regulatory system, your institutions, your infrastructure to deliver on that particular aspect. So that's alignment. And finally, you are in the third stage of standardization, where you create your own standards. You don't adapt to others. You create your own standards, and it's basically called authorship of standardization. Now, very important thing is that the countries have to constantly improve the standards. There are two things about this. One is called ambition for the standards. What's aim, what objective, what ambition we have about what standards we'll have in our market. This is one thing. So we would like to have the high standards, but do we have capacity to implement those things? So there's always a trade-off. If we set too low standards for ourselves, the market would run with low quality of the things. If we set too high standards for us, we'll fail to meet those, and the industries would find difficult to comply with these standards, and that there will be industrial failures. So we need to be very careful in terms of balancing the ambitions with our ability to comply with the standards. And this way is the compliance is very, very important. Then comes very interesting element where the global trade now focuses, is that should we shift from what we call mandatory standards or compliance, where the standards are mandatory, it is enforced by the government by legal thing, is that you have to minimum deliver all these things. A pharmaceutical product has to meet these standards. A particular food product should meet these products, and this is a requirement of the state. Everyone has to comply for that. These are called mandatory compliance. But there's something which goes beyond that, and firms adopt these standardization which is beyond legal requirement, and they set even higher standards for themselves. This is the way they enter the global market, and so it helps the country to export their products, firms to enter global market by artificially setting higher standards for their products, which actually helps them to capture global market. So we should look at voluntary standards for development, and that's the importance of standards. Thank you very much.